Good evening, everybody. This is Mike with On Point Preparedness. I hope you all had wonderful holidays and that you're well rested as we head into this new year. This new year, as I'm going to show you in this video, is going to probably start off with a bang. January, particularly, well, the whole month from beginning to end, I think is going to be a big one. And it's all around Trump and Biden and everything that's going on here with this whole contest, if you will. YouTube has been fervently removing videos regarding this subject, so you'll have to just bear with me as I watch some of my language as I speak about some of these articles, but I'll probably just refer to the picture and have you read the things yourselves rather than me explicitly state these things. So what we're going to be covering, just as a quick synopsis, is this is literally coming to a point where we're going to see, as the title implies, a clash of two evils. Things are really building up to a climax, and I definitely believe that we're going to see the start of it in January in a major way. Could be wrong, but there's so much momentum to this that I would be very surprised if this just petered out. And from a scriptural point of view, those who are students of end times prophecy and you see the season that we're in and the signs of the times, you'll know that Christ refers to these as birth pains, and they increase in intensity and frequency. And so what we've experienced in 2020 isn't just gonna, again, peter away in 2021 or we're gonna have a lull. It's gonna unfortunately get worse. We don't want to sugarcoat anything. We have to be prepared mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Absolutely, we have to be spiritually discerning for what is coming up. And so that's what I want to just prepare you all for. Prepare you for some big possibilities here in January. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check out a whole bunch of articles that I've been obtaining for you over the past 2-3 weeks, and you'll see that there's some major things in motion here. So as always, just moving on over here, and the first thing I want to talk about is, again, this whole choice process. We'll call it that instead of the E word, this whole choice process. A lot of people have moved on from this. Interestingly, the people that are in the alphabet movement, if you know what I mean from that, the whole anonymous thing, right? A lot of them are bailing out as well. A lot of them think that this is completely over. It's just gone too far. But again, I think that something big is going to happen here in January, and I just want to show you a couple of things going on. So first of all, this is a pretty big article from Trending Politics, that the Pennsylvania House and Senate members write an urgent letter to McConnell and McCarthy over the election results. Basically, Trump has tweeted about this as well, and again, this is starting to get some mid-tier, almost mainstream media attention, that for Pennsylvania, you can see that there's somewhere around 200,000 more ballots cast than voters who voted. Now, that's pretty indicative of that F word that YouTube is censoring here. And so again, you're having this January 6th process where the Electoral College is certified. You're going to have many senators somehow challenge this. I don't know all the legal ramifications and how the process goes, but again, this is really coming to a head on the 6th. Now, I've seen tons of different theories about how this all plays out. There's this whole thing called a Pence card. Pence is going to do this or that, and then Pence sort of threw people for a loop where he said some things which indicated he wasn't going to do this. We're not going to focus on that. There are way too many theories of how Trump is going to regain his, or basically keep his seat. I have no idea which one of them is true or false or anything. All I know is that there is a strong delusion all centered around Trump, a worldwide strong delusion all centered around Trump, and a lot of it is coming from the religious end. And that's that is very, very concerning. As if you saw my video on the leaven of Herod, I'm going to show you a little bit of that in this video as well. I mean, this stuff is spreading rampantly. And that shows me that, again, this thing has so much momentum that I just don't see it going away. That something is going to boil over here January, February, more than likely January. Moving on a little bit, okay, some other things that are happening in the news. This was mid-December. A military or nothing to see here. Pentagon halts cooperation with the Biden transition team. Major movements here. Some very strange things going on. Talking about strange things, and we don't want to get too much into conspiracy. I put some Facebook posts on this. You know, it's good to look into these things a little bit, but you know, as Christians, do not obsess. Do not go down the rabbit hole or quote unquote take the red pill. Don't immerse yourself with conspiracy because it is starting to lend to Gnosticism. But again, we need to be at least aware of these things prophetically to show that something is going on here. This whole Nashville incident, which is supposedly just some random guy who just, you know, blew up this RV and no motive, there's just a strange story. An interesting thing is if I'm subscribed to many local news channels and they'll cover a lot of these nationwide news stories as well, it seems like everyone is woke now. It's not even just the whole conspiracy truther network that's saying, yeah, this was the government, this was that, this was a false event, what things like that. I mean, these are just normal everyday people on all these local news channels. All of them are saying this whole story doesn't add up. It's weird. It's a conspiracy, all this stuff. And so it's mainstream. No one really believes this narrative. And the thing that's just really odd about this is this supposed act of randomness by this one guy. He exposed the Achilles heel in the regional AT&T network. Basically, that event hit not just AT&T, it hit all the networks simultaneously, and they all went down. Now, is it just because of that specific event, or was that event a cover for something else? There's tons and tons of conspiracy theories about exactly what happened there. Again, we're not going to get into it, but again, I just want to show you that something is happening. And what I mean by that something is, in prior videos, I had told you about this. Again, we're seeing the clash of two evils there, and it's all spiritual warfare. Okay, there is one side which represents the NWO, Bill Gates, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Soros, Biden, this evil cabal. And make no mistake, they are powerful. They are very powerful people. If we go back up to some of these things regarding the Pennsylvania data about how many extra ballots there were, more than voters, 200,000. I mean, when you see the media saying there is no evidence of the F word, and you see Facebook and Twitter saying there's absolutely no evidence, and you see things like this, the fact that they're not even lending a little bit of airtime to it, it just shows, they are controlled. And again, they have this whole left side, they have a lot of power, a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of influence. But then on the right side, this whole, some people call it the alliance, it's full of New Agers, it's full of Trump, it's full of a lot of these different religions. There is also a lot of power there as well. And these two people are going to clash. And if they clash and they clash hard, there's going to be some, they're going to basically take out every card that they have. They're going to pull out everything in their arsenal because neither one of them wants to lose. Neither one of them wants to go down. I told you a while back that I believed that Biden is a fall guy spiritually. And it's just so odd if you think about the situation here. They would have never had to manipulate ballots and things like that to the degree that they did with Biden if they would have had someone like Bernie come in, someone that was way more popular on the left. But for some reason, you get this guy who has dementia. He's a grandpa. He can't even like make straight sentences. And so it's the manipulation had to go 10 times more than it would with Biden or any other candidate. And again, I think spiritually, that's what the enemy has intended. He wants it to be so infuriating. He wants the manipulation to be so apparent and be so covered up that it's just absolutely infuriating. And again, these two sides are just absolutely going to clash over this. But again, things like this whole Nashville event, I believe that we're starting to see these two sides clash. We don't know exactly what all the details are, but they're pulling out the cards. And these things, behind the scenes, there are some really big things moving where they're going after each other. And I think if we get to this point in January where the manipulation is exposed more mainstream, again, we have to be prepared for this. We have to be prepared and do not get sucked into the Herodian leaven. Do not get sucked into this whole patriotic fight. Just sit and watch and listen, because it's going to potentially get very bad. And for those on the right side, the left is going to look so fraudulent and evil and manipulative that it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard not to want to jump in and join these protests and join in this whole revolt and this rebellion. So again, this is to prepare everyone for such a thing. So other things that are really weird about Nashville. Okay, so the FAA declares skies over Nashville a national defense airspace. Why is that? Again, there's a whole bunch of conspiracies out there showing a potential missile trail. So again, all this stuff is just strange. Okay, it's not just this narrative given by the media. This is a one-off event, considering it was the Achilles heel in a regional network. That you have the FAA declaring the skies over Nashville defense airspace. And then I just want to show you about the whole Achilles heel thing. Here's someone on Twitter. I don't know who they are, but they say, don't let that event distract you from the fact that basically all the phone networks at the same time are having the same exact network issues. So he has a couple here: T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon. It all spiked at that very moment. I got another chart here to show you that, I mean, literally everything. This shows it's the down detector. At that event, AT&T, Cricket, Verizon, T-Mobile, Straight Talk, HBO Max, Sprint, US Cellular, Roblox, Metro, every single one of them had like this singular event of their networks going down. Not to mention, talking about network downtime, there's also this, and I'm not going to say this word on YouTube, but this company, if you haven't looked into this, this is one of the biggest cyber hacks in U.S. history, I believe. And there's, again, more conspiracies associated with this, saying that the headquarters was raided in Austin, that this was tied to the voting machines. Okay, there's just lots of stuff going on. And we don't know who's behind it. Is it the left? Is it the right? But again, the narratives aren't really adding up. And there's some type of battle happening in the background, and it's all coming up. It's all really bubbling up to the surface. That's why I think that being that we have January 6th, where the Electoral College certifies the votes, and again, the inauguration on the 20th, we do have a timeline. So again, I'd be surprised if nothing happens in January. We go straight into a Biden administration, and it's just like, oh, well, we tried, guys. Sorry. Now, if you hear the rhetoric coming out of the Trump administration, you see this, there's a huge rally going to happen in D.C. on the 6th. It just does not peter out. Particularly, let me show you a couple more articles here to just show you it's not going to peter out. But first, let me before we get into that, I do have a couple videos here. Actually, forget the content of them, but let me see here. Okay. Lynn Wood. Let me play this for you, so he's going to talk about this whole Nashville event and the networks going down as well. Now, Lynn Wood is a very prevalent and prestigious lawyer in the United States. I've covered him many times in the past, and I'm showing you how he's involved in this whole alphabet movement, the whole letter, alphabet movement. And let's just hear what he has to say about this.
Media talk about why several weeks ago there was a almost national 911 blackout in this country. Why didn't the media say what happened? That's our emergency system. Media didn't talk about it. Why weren't they saying, give us an explanation? The media didn't want to talk about it. When the media takes an event and ignores it, you better look out, because there's something wrong. When the media takes something and censors it, go find it, because that's the truth. The truth is being censored. The lies are being broadcast. So America's got to wake up, and America will wake up. I've heard references to the Great Awakening.
The Great Awakening. Again, I've covered Lynn Wood in a lot of different posts, and he is using a lot of the hashtags from, might as well just say it, Q. He's totally part of that movement. Totally part of that movement. And here again, we have the Great Awakening. The clashing of two different evils. It's coming to a head here. I can't really figure out a better time than this year, the beginning of this year, to see these two opposing views come to a head. The Great Reset versus the Great Awakening. There's several people even noticing this now, saying, oh, they tried to have a Great Reset, but what they triggered was a Great Awakening. And we see that lots of people are just becoming woke. It's all part of the plan, so to say. And it's spiritual deception. Speaking of this whole alphabet letter, let's go ahead, and I want to show you just a couple more things regarding this. Yeah, that's the video that I wanted there. Okay. When I first started covering this movement several months ago, almost half a year ago probably, I just found it concerning, and I just thought a lot of the theories were just crazy, way out there, made no sense at all. It just wasn't really anything significant. I thought it was definitely dangerous from a spiritual perspective, but nothing that was major. The reason I've been covering it so much now is because of all the high-profile people that are supporting it. Attorney Lynn Wood, Attorney Sidney Powell, people in the Trump family, as I'll show you in some more screenshots here. The fact that they are becoming more brazen and more open, that they are, or General Flynn is another one, that they are actually full-on supporting the movement, it's very concerning now. It's very concerning because this may tie in, again, to this whole great delusion thing. I'll show you a couple things here. This is where this whole Herodian leaven and almost treating Trump as an idol and a savior is just getting worse and worse. There's this video. It's been banned on YouTube, so I can't play it, but you can find it for yourself. Fight for Trump. Save America. Save the world. And so many people actually, literally, they call Trump the savior of America. And in that video, they have people from all around the world saying, you know, we need to fight for Trump. This is actually one of the rallies here in the United States where they're chanting. This is after the elections, and this is all about the whole steal thing. And what we're going to see on January 6th, this whole rally, every indication that I see on Twitter and how many people are sharing it and how many, people are actually organizing buses and things, it seems like it will be a big event. But again, these things are going viral. They're spreading. And again, it's worldwide. I want to show you a whole bunch of collection of pictures of people worldwide all saying, fight for Trump, stop this steal. Here's another one. I'm not exactly sure which platform this is, but this is, I believe, this is Donald Trump Jr.'s official account. I can't be sure. This was shared on Twitter. And it says this is far from over. And notice, again, what one of his family members is saying. Are you enjoying the show? Refill your popcorn. You'll love this next part. Enjoy the show. That is one of the hashtags or quotes that is prolific in this in this movement. It is absolutely prolific. You'll see it hashtagged and put everywhere. So again, it's bubbling up. It's this great revealing where it's like, oh, we don't care if people know that we're part of this organization or not. Let's just go ahead and do it. That to me was big. This one's big too. So this is from the Daily Beast. Michael Flynn is now selling this merchandise. So yeah, he's using all the hashtags. He's saying all the digital soldiers type things. He's actually commanding digital soldiers to do specific things. If you look at his tweets, again, it's all out in the open now. It wasn't like this 6 months ago. It was all very concealed. It was all very riddled. Here's another one. Another one of Trump's lawyers, Jenna Ellis. So again, the Q movement is inherently, they say, it's a Christian movement. However, as I've gone through my last video, I show you why it has a lot of cult, has a lot of cultish things about it, as well as, there's a lot of Herodian leaven. If you watch that video on what the leaven of Herod is, but anyways, it's an intermingling of Christianity and some really bad thoughts here. So anyway, she says, I'm grateful for God's providence and sovereignty over the past year. It has been an opportunity to serve my president, my country, defend the church. Hope we step into the new year seeking our Lord Jesus. And so it's like, oh, great. This is great. Jenna Ellis talking about our Lord Jesus. But then, you look more. And so Jenna Ellis is also favoriting Q posts. While you were out preparing for something that will never happen, I trusted the plan. Trust the plan. That's another one of the hashtags and quotes. And so it's very concerning to me to see people in his family, people like Flynn, people like Sidney Powell, people like Lynn Wood, people like Jenna Ellis, all very, very close to the president, now pretty much coming out in the open and saying, either we're part of Q or we support Q or something. They're definitely involved in this. So that's why this has a place in this whole delusion. This has a very big place in this delusion. There's a couple other things. I just threw this in here because I covered Candace Owens. She's also, again, part of this whole right side fighting against the evil. It's all becoming very apparent. Candace Owens brands Fauci and Bill Gates evil, claims big pharma is wrought with corruption. I agree. I absolutely agree. But this is all being brought to the surface so that, again, this big clash will happen. Will it happen in January? Perhaps. I would be surprised if nothing happens. If nothing happens, I'll be absolutely surprised. Looking at Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood. So again here, Sidney Powell retweets this from Lynn Wood. And I actually have a compilation of these types of photographs. And again, this is what's really concerning about the whole thing. It really, to me, is an idolization of Trump. He says, giving thanks unto the Father, which hath made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light, who hath delivered us from the power of darkness and hath translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son. Light always overcomes darkness. So see, the photo he posts is where a beam of light is over Trump. I've got probably 5 different photographs from 5 different people, all where Trump is in a lens flare or is just lighter than other people. And they're saying, look at how much lighter and brilliant Trump is compared to everyone else. He is the light. And if you've seen all my other, videos about Trump and his phrases about the light and the power of the light, you need to watch the Leaven of Herod video, because the same exact thing happened with Herod, where scholars say that he made himself appear to be like God when he wore this brilliant suit made of silver and he sparkled like the light, and people were just enamored with Herod. And again, so just like the leaven of the Pharisees is religious leaven, the leaven of Herod is political leaven. And again, talking about momentum, where I just don't see this thing petering out in January. There's lots of talk about 1776. in lay people. We'll call them lay people, people that really aren't into truther and conspiracy and stuff. They're just normal, everyday people that just have never really looked into the stuff that we've looked into for years. They're all talking about the prospects of another 1776. And so here you go. You have Lynn saying, soon you will realize this is not a battle against Trump versus Biden. This is a battle between good and evil, freedom and tyranny, the USA and the CCP. I'm actually going to cover that. This isn't the whole CCP thing. They're involved in this big time. And so it's not just a within the United States type of deal. If you follow all the voting systems and how they've actually traced data packets and where they've gone, that it's gone to foreign entities, foreign state actors, this is big. It's not just treasonous stuff within the United States. There's a lot of implications with foreign state actors, and is there going to be something that comes out of it or not? I don't know. But the momentum, like this type of momentum, it just doesn't stop. It just doesn't go anywhere. It leads to something. Here's another rally. And Alex Jones, who I've covered him and many others have, a lot of his views about Christianity have these notes of Gnosticism in them where he talks about consciousness and things like that. I just want to show you some of the language that he's using now on a lot of these rallies. He says Biden will be removed one way or another. Alex Jones and Michael Flynn talk at this rally. Just listen to what Jones says. And actually, there's a video from John at E511 Ministries. He covers Alex Jones way in depth. And so if you want to see what Alex's version of Christianity is, I would point you to those videos. Bearing that in mind, just sort of hear what he has to say. Again, there's a lot of things cloaked in Christianity, which is why this whole movement is very dangerous.
And rose up Donald Trump to stand against the enemy and draw out the enemy. So as dark as some of these days are, understand this is the beginning of the great revival before the Antichrist comes. World government.
The devil doesn't care if people focus or they look at the times that they're in and they think that they're in the end times. He doesn't care as long as you have the wrong narrative. Alex Jones is talking about this great revival, and I've mentioned this several times on my channel. There's a lot of people in the NAR, a lot of false prophets, a lot of false teachers, and they're all saying that, oh, Trump's going to get it. He's going to get in. He's going to keep it, and there's going to be a great revival like we've never seen before. And so if this thing happens and the whole left and the whole horrendous evils of the left gets exposed and they get taken down, oh my, you're going to see delusion happen to where people think that, this is the revival, and who knows what happens after that. Again, it's almost like the Crusades 2.0. That might be a video I do sometime in the future. But the prospect for some major things will happen if this whole thing gets exposed, and it seems like it will sometime fairly soon. So I mentioned like a lot of this stuff, it's not just in the United States, it's global. Here's just a couple photographs that I got for you, and just showing you so many countries worldwide are actually supporting this whole movement. Canada, hey, stop the steal. So there's the Canadians. Japan, this was a tweet in a video where they're marching about fight for Trump. Scenes from a Taiwanese stop the steal and fight for Trump rally. So here you can hear Taiwan, fight for Trump. Here's another video where they're parading through the streets. Stop the steal, fight for Trump. Some more from Taiwan, fight for Trump. Actually, if you go back up and you find this video, I'm not exactly sure where it's at, this whole fight for Trump, save America, save the world video. I think it's on BitChute. They have a compilation of videos, and I don't know if they're necessarily all from post-election, but some of them definitely are. You've got tons of support from Africa, India, many other countries, the UK, Great Britain, all there. It's just very odd. It's just very odd to see what commanding power and influence he has. along with this the whole Q thing, it's gone global. I've showed you videos as well where they say it is indeed a global phenomenon now. A global phenomenon that only until recently has now had some of the most high-profile people support it outright. That is a major development. All right, let's see what I got. We're going to transition just a little bit out of politics, and we're going to transition to the church. Now, I really want to do a follow-up video. I don't know when, but I want to do a follow-up video on this because we are going to see, we're already seeing a fractionation in the church. There's a lot of people that are getting consumed by the patriotism, and it's like, I think Jack Hibbs, and there's like a whole bunch of other people that I've shown you in prior videos. This whole patriotism is just really sucking people in because they want to fight for a good moral cause. Little do they know exactly, what this whole side is actually enamored with. I mean, there's a lot of New Agers, and there's a lot of delusion in this whole movement. The church is fractionated in that sense. But I also mentioned how I believe that the Roman Catholic Church is going to fractionate. So I used to be in this camp where I fully believed that Pope Francis was a false prophet, and he was the one that was going to usher in or lead the one world religion. I'm starting to, and I believe it's discernment, I am starting to discern that he actually might get taken down in this whole exposure of evil. It's actually quite interesting. I've been saying that lightly on this channel for the past couple months, but I'm seeing more and more articles now that seem to indicate that this legitimately might happen. We're going to just explore that a little bit here. Here's Mark Taylor, who was totally prophesying over Trump, and I mean, you just look into him. I do not support Mark Taylor. So he's using the same type of terminology as that Archbishop Vigano from the Catholic Church. Archbishop Vigano, I'll show you an article where he wrote to Trump saying that you're the last hope for civilization. You're essentially the person that's standing between us and evil. He said that you're standing between the deep state and the deep church. Well, here you have Mark Taylor also saying deep state church leaders like Beth Moore. So he's calling out Beth Moore, basically Beth Moore, and I don't support Beth Moore either. But she's saying that, we need to be careful of Trumpism or this idolization of Trump. So now he's going after her saying, you're the deep state church. So again, if this whole exposure of evil thing happens and you warn about moralism and you warn about Herodian leaven and things like that, you're going to be seen as part of the deep church, the deep state church. This is just an example of it where someone highly popular like Beth Moore is now being pegged as part of the evil problem that needs to get taken down. So here's why. Let's focus on the Pope for a little bit. This was, in my eyes, this was a very major development in terms of thinking that he actually might get taken down. And we want to keep our theology open, our eschatology open about the end times, because I was really dogmatic that he was the false prophet and he was going to usher in the one world religion and lead it. And if you're dogmatic about that and you're not open to potential other options, and like he gets taken down or something, the enemy might sweep in and start confusing your thoughts and make you believe a lie. So you just have to be aware of this possibility. So here's this article saying Pope Francis plans to fix global capitalism with the help of Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and MasterCard. Here's another one from this person. I don't know who she is, but she tweets, Vatican enters into a global alliance with Rothschild, Rockefeller, and Ford Foundation through a new Council for Inclusive Capitalism. Ford is a supporter of abortion rights and gender ideology. Rothschild backed Hillary Clinton. Rockefeller supports LGBTQ rights. The Pope is totally aligning himself, again, with the left. I mean, we all knew that anyways. He's totally aligning himself, especially with the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the banksters. Totally aligning himself with that side. And you've got multiple people on the right of the Catholic Church, like Archbishop Vigano, and now here's another article, Cardinal Burke, that are now siding with Trump. And so now you're actually going to see Trump versus Pope Francis. I covered this a while ago. You guys know Pope Francis and Trump, they don't like each other at all. Their meeting several years ago back in 2017 was very, very awkward. I want to show you what I covered in that video after we go through a couple articles here. But it seems like this also might come to a head, that the deep church, the quote-unquote deep church, which is opposed to Trump, gets exposed and taken down. So anyways, this Cardinal Burke, one of many within the Catholic Church that are now supporting Donald Trump over their own papacy, says that this great reset is going to bring Marxism to the United States. As it goes on, he pretty much aligns with some of the things that Archbishop Vigano talks about. Again, the whole fact that there's this whole communist Marxist type of ideology that's infiltrating. It's evil. We need to take it down. And by no means, I don't support any of those things. They're definitely all evil. But you have to look another step ahead in terms of the fact that Roman Catholicism is a false gospel. And so if you say, oh yeah, I like what Archbishop Vigano and Cardinal Burke are talking about, and you start to align with them, well, now you're fellowshipping with people that have a false gospel, and you're elevating politics over the word of God. And so that's the dangerous thing. That is the very dangerous thing here. And this is almost like a blend of Pharisaical and Herodian leaven all in one, aligning with the Catholic Church because of their position on politics. Here's what this article said by The Guardian 4 years ago. In 2017, U.S. Cardinal Raymond Burke stokes papal tensions by meeting nationalists in Rome. Pope Francis's harshest critics are aligning themselves with Trump and his acolytes around the world. That's exactly what I've been saying. Lots of people are now saying that, hey, the Catholic Church is going to go through a schism. The Pope is going down the way of communist, Marxist type ideology. He's starting to align with banksters like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. He's doing all this thing. Lots of leadership is now looking to Trump. And again, these things, it's gonna clash. It's gonna clash. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video I did from the Trump and Pope meeting, because this is really interesting. What I've been talking about over the past year through this whole crisis is that some type of enlightenment event is coming. All the New Agers are talking about it. They're all excited. All the false prophets and false teachers, they're all saying that revival is coming. It's sort of one and the same. I showed you all the momentum leading up to this January and what the heck is going to happen with this whole candidate process thing, the whole presidency. It's potentially here. I mean, this whole event is potentially here. The momentum is there. But again, it's all focused around enlightenment. And so what I find interesting is back in 2017, the gift that Trump gave Pope was the lotus flower, which literally means enlightenment. So let's just go ahead and check out that video. And I'll just play this for you and just have a listen just for a couple minutes here. Because I think this is really relevant to our discussion. Let me just go ahead and switch myself off of here. And I'll expand this and just have a listen. About 3 days earlier. Is it mere coincidence that of all the gifts that Donald Trump could present to Pope Francis, it would be one species of plant out of several thousands of species of plants? And that I, one who committed to his subscribers that this event would be prophetic and that I would be analyzing the symbolism, would have read about this very same species only 3 days earlier. So what is the important symbolism? The lotus is one of the most occult and ancient symbols of the natural world. And the fact that Donald Trump chose this sculpture, which was entitled Rising Above, is of grave concern. The lotus is the flower sacred to the Aryan Hindus, Egyptians, Buddhists, and more. References to it are found in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Jewish mystic religion of Kabbalism, and several other pagan religion texts and sculptures. For the occult, it represents the divine rebirth unto enlightenment, an abstract concept that is brought to life in the concrete or visible form of a lotus. It is, in essence, the same symbolism as the enlightenment of the all-seeing third eye. To name a few examples of its prevalence, you can see this in the occult film I, Pet Goat 2, where a lotus flower is seen blooming at the heels of then President Obama. His face grows stark as he witnesses the reality of this transformative stage of enlightenment. So I just want to pause right here. And I've spoken about this whole occult film many times. We don't get our theology from this at all. I think the only thing that we can garnish from this at all is that this is definitely a production work that is inspired by the devil, and it's him boasting in his plan. What I found very interesting here is in this movie, what happens at this state of the movie is this apple turns into a lotus flower, meaning enlightenment. Obama looks at it and he's incredibly nervous, as indicated by the sweat on his forehead. And it means that something bad's going to happen to him, perhaps. He sees this enlightenment coming. And Obama definitely is. He's on the whole left side. He's on this whole cabal, Biden, NWO type side. And so again, he's sweating because he sees enlightenment coming. And we have the exact same thing happening with Trump and the Pope, giving him a lotus flower, again, symbolizing enlightenment. Enlightenment is coming. What's really interesting about this is I just want to show you these tweets from Sidney Powell. Again, one of the people that's one of the high-profile lawyers that is not necessarily on Trump's lawyer team, but she's definitely up there, helping to some degree. I've got about 5 different posts. I didn't put them all here, but her, I believe Lynn Wood, and others are all starting to do this hashtag of Obamagate. You have no idea, but you will find out soon. Obama, Brennan, Clapper, CIA, Trump won, and Lynn Wood. Dan Bongino, I guess he was one of the Secret Service agents in one of the presidencies, I believe. Hopefully I didn't get that wrong. He said, it's Friday, and the Obama-Biden administration was the most corrupt in U.S. history. Obamagate. And so this whole team of people have really started to do this hashtag Obamagate, inferring that, hey, you're going to find out some bad things and they're going to get taken down. So it's just interesting to me that this whole enlightenment thing, and which is part of the whole Q side, the Great Awakening, right? It's the Great Reset versus the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening is all based on New Age stuff. It's based on enlightenment and all this stuff. And if you support the whole Q thing, you're essentially aligning with that position. That they're going to bring enlightenment and expose all these people. And that just seemingly is what happened in that film. Actually what happens after that is that the American flag rips in two and then the Statue of Liberty collapses. So is this the devil boasting in his plan? I don't know, but we're going to find out. Don't derive your theology from My Pet Goat. However, if things come to pass and you compare them back to this film, you know that this is totally inspired by the devil. Anywho, moving on. Let's see here. Okay. So this is where we're gonna leave off. I mean, I'm almost right at about 45 minutes here, so might as well just show you how weird 2021 is already going to be. Some of you have already been asking. I saw a couple comments of people asking about this. Wasn't there supposed to be some great exposure of the whole PED stuff? Okay, this is weird, and I don't want you guys to look into this too much because it's going to end up in dead road. It's going to have dead ends. You're going to be wasting your time. But again, I bring this up just to make you aware that this has not gone away at all. And there's potentially some really big things that are on the horizon. Looking at Lynn Wood. Now, I really can't read some of this, okay? But this is just sort of crazy. On December 14th, he posted this. Wow, all the focus on clear election stuff sure has distracted the country from this person's case. Man, oh man. This case could bring down Biden, Gates, Roberts, Clinton, and maybe others, maybe even Obama. There's that Obama reference again. Sure wish this guy was alive. Wishful thinking, I guess. Lots of people, I mean, look at how many hearts and likes. That's a lot. That's a lot for Twitter. Lots of people were sensing sarcasm, and they started getting really conspiratorial, saying, does he know something we don't? Is this dude really still alive? Well, check this out. And again, Lynn Wood is not necessarily a source of truth. Just because he says it doesn't mean it's true. Okay? But what we should take note of is exactly what this individual, Ron, who has been doing a lot of the election analytical data analysis, he tweeted to Mr. Trump and he said, hey, did you know that this guy is still alive? Surely Lynn Wood, the world's top defamation lawyer, wouldn't make such a claim without a proof. So this is a new tweet that he made just a couple days ago. Who knows if Lynn Wood is telling the truth or not? But the fact that he is one of the top lawyers and he understands defamation and he understands, the consequence of such things, for him to make some of these claims, we should at least raise an eyebrow and say, what is going on? Something big might happen. But let's take a look at his tweet. So here, it was back on December 14th. It was very sarcastic. Well, now he just comes all out and he makes his case. I am fully aware of the onslaught of attacks being made against me based on my revelations about Chief Justice John Roberts. Before attacking me, maybe fair-minded people would first ask Roberts to tell the truth, or ask this guy. He is alive. Before, in the middle of the month, people were trying to read between the lines to see if he was being sarcastic, and now he's just flat out saying it. Very odd thing for someone in his position, again, being so high profile, to be stating these things. There's other things going on as well. This was also on December 16th. Prince Andrew's alleges Powell, this guy, indicted on this charge. This stuff has not gone away. A lot of people think, again, the election has just gone away, and this stuff has just gone away. But hopefully I'm showing you that it's definitely not gone away. And we're not going to read that one, but I worry. I have a spiritual worry for Christians. And, using gifts that God has given me, discerning thoughts about this whole thing, I'm trying to warn people that what I said back in my video talking about the threat of moralism, this whole revival thing that seems to be on the horizon, the revival of exposing fraudulent stuff, malicious stuff, the whole exposure of a lot of these deep state actors, a lot of exposure of deep church actors, the whole PED thing, all of it. If this actually comes to fruition, and again, there is momentum to suggest that it might, there are going to be a lot of people that align with the wrong crowd simply because of moral revelations, because everything morally seems justified and right, and that has grave consequences spiritually, that has such a huge potential for delusion. My personal opinion, and I could be wrong, I've been wrong in the past. My personal opinion is, in terms of the great delusion that is spoken about in the end times, I think it is entirely based on this whole sweeping moralism that will infiltrate the globe. That the beast system is truly something that is based on a utopia, that is based on moral principles, that it seems good to people. It sucks people in. And I see momentum, and I see high potential regarding all of this, everything that I just showed you. And we're not to be afraid or worry about things, but I worry for the body of Christ, because even in lieu of this exposure event, even in lieu of this whole grand finale thing where it all might be revealed. Even in lieu of all that stuff, the Herodian leaven is already sucking people in left and right. It is already sucking Christians in left and right. And you've probably seen it too. You've probably seen it too. Because they believe that they're fighting against evil. That the people that they're supporting are on the right side of history. But if you're discerning and you know the times that we're in, we know it's more than just politics, and it's more than just an election cycle. There's something much grander going on here. That's why we need to be so incredibly careful. Anywho, we're gonna go ahead and close this live stream out for tonight. I do have a whole bunch of things ready for you guys, so there won't be as much of a delay in videos. Hopefully I'll get some of those things out this week. But just wanted to start off the new year to just say, be prepared spiritually, be in prayer, and, be praying constantly that the Lord protects you from deception. The Lord protects you from delusion. We see so many people in high places within the Christian body fall for all sorts of things. If you've actually looked in the Ravi Zacharias revelations, things like that, it's really disheartening to a lot of people that someone who could be so respected and so just so respected in the body of Christ could have such accusations and such a double life going on. That's what Galatians says, is that let no man, I forget what the actual verse says, but it says, let no man think he is something because he is nothing, or let no man think he is something because he deceives himself when he is nothing. The only reason why you're acknowledged in the body of Christ is because the Lord gave you gifts according to his varied grace. Or the fruit that you bear is because, it's the Lord working through you. It's not all on you. And so let no one think that they are so smart and so well read and they know all the deceptions that they can't possibly be deceived. Be a lot more humble about it. Be a lot more humble, stay constantly in prayer, and ask for the Lord's protection against deception and delusion, because it's running rampantly. Anywho, this is Mike with On Point Preparedness. Hope you all enjoyed this update in terms of all the current world events and things that I'm seeing. And again, we'll continue these videos here with some more teaching ministry-oriented videos, as well as some more signs of the time stuff. So God bless, keep the faith, and here we go into the new year.